Hi, I'm Harold Carter,
Jonathan Liu.
and this is the CaLew Perspective. Thank you for joining us. I'm going to tell you a little bit about myself, my background. I studied architecture, landscape architecture at Kansas State University, and then thereafter my education, I traveled straight to California. I've been in California for the past years over my professional career. I built a small design firm of six and supported the architecture and landscape architecture industry, and then to transcend it away from that into entertainment. And so that gave me a lot more to sort of look at and a lot more people to respond to. And it was a very strong opportunity for me to sort of relate with other people outside the architectural community as well. And I'll let John talk a little about himself.
Yeah. Hey, so I am born and raised in Southern California. So my roots are here in Southern California. Family's here in Southern California. And I went to school in Southern California all the way through college. After college, I've been working in the logistics industry for more than 20 years now. So worked for various size companies, big and small, and Fortune 500, and privately owned. And so I've seen a lot in that world, right? But not only that, with family, we've seen a lot as well. So I think, Harold and I are here to share our perspective
Yes.
on that. And I think we have a diverse array of perspectives. We don't necessarily always agree or have, or anything common, but we have a different perspective and we respect it.
And I think that sort of makes the enrichment of this, of what we're talking about now, the perspective of what we are sharing.
Yeah.
Not only the generation between the two of us, but not the ethnicity difference and the experience of both of us experiencing life's journey growing up and sharing those perspectives as well with each other and as with you as well.
Yeah.
We sort of felt like this might be a great opportunity to hear from some of you out there that would also have a perspective that we would love to also share with us in this journey here.
Yeah, share, and we'd love to listen.
Now, a little bit about family life. I mean, I am married, have actually two grandkids. I get a chance to spoil them. I have two, I have adopted, having them as part of now the kids that I typically had when they were growing up, my son and my adopted daughter, taking over that and having them now sort of take the torch and run with that.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of now standing back and thinking I can spoil them and get away with it. My days of that is kind of now a chance to do that. And
That's true.
my wife and I, we typically were pretty much active day to day, go for speed walks. And I don't mean just like regular walking. I mean, we're moving. We probably do something in the neighborhood of about a mile every 14 to 15 minutes. And but in my younger days, I used to walk a mile in 7 minutes.
Oh, okay.
I could walk a 7 minute mile.
Run.
No, not run. Walk a mile in 7 minutes. Yes.
I
I'll be able to do that now. I think my legs would fall off now if I tried to do that.
Yeah, for sure. How crazy.
And cycling. I love cycling.
Yeah.
That was kind of one of the big things that I used to spend a lot of time with is cycling. I would do, so on a weekend, I would do like maybe 50 to 70 miles. But I remember clocking, John. I remember clocking and keeping along. And I had in 1 year, over 12,000 miles that I had punched on my bicycle. And I thought, wow.
That's what's across country is 3,000 miles.
Yeah.
So you went back and forth, like twice.
Distance. I think my dad was sort of, when he was with me,
Yeah.
I think he was really fascinated the fact that I had spent that much time on the bicycle.
That is a ton.
Yeah.
So what was your favorite? Where was your favorite place to ride your bikes?
If I could do it on the coast,
Yeah.
the coast highway, I would do that. I mean, that was,
It's beautiful.
yeah, it was, yeah. And I remember I would do, and this was sort of like a speed test at the end of the day, like the work day. I get on my bicycle and I would do like maybe 25 miles, and I would do that, and I would try to do it before the nightfall came, and I would go up coast to Seal Beach, I think it was, and then I'd come back down to Costa Mesa, and then back up towards up into Costa Mesa. So it was a round trip of like 21 miles, and I would do that every day. And then the weekends, I would hit something like the 50 to 70 miles, according to how I felt. If I did it up 70 miles on Saturday, then I would do 50 on Sunday.
Gotcha.
And so that's how I put in all those miles.
Did you ride with the group or was it individual?
Just myself, and then I had one other friend of mine.
Okay.
The two of us would meet up, and then we would sort of start to ride, and we would just ride until the end of that time. So yeah,
that's amazing. I mean, think about 21 miles.
Gosh,
it's like I don't drive 20 miles to even go to work. It's not. That's amazing.
Well, what's funny, the COVID came in, and I haven't done anything since that time. But yeah, that's kind of where I am with that. What about you?
Yeah, married as well. Two young kids, two young children, boys. So we're fully immersed in school right now. We're fully immersed in that and their education and making sure that they're doing well there. But other than that, activity wise, I used to play a lot of tennis. I mean, started playing when I was, very young. I think it was in high school. I was 14, 13, taking lessons. And then outside of college, right? I didn't play in college tennis or anything like that, but playing with the USTA League. So if people that that are watching that or listening know about tennis and USTA, I played with USTA leagues. So they have a ranking system. 4.5, 5.0, 5.5, 3.5. The lower the number, the higher the number, the more advanced skill you were. Okay. They group you into those skill sets. So it's a little even when you play. But played in the 4.5 side for many, many years. Pre-COVID, we were playing every weekend.
You ain't gone.
Yeah.
You missed a lot of fun.
Playing to go to, we would do all those fun things. We got to play over at Indian Wells and some other big venues, going out, hitting at least once, and then playing on the weekends with all my buddies and had a blast. But since COVID hit, I haven't played, haven't touched a racket. It's been 4 years now. COVID killed everything. I'm telling you.
Asking this question: do you think you're going to go back, or you think you'll?
I will. Yeah, I think I will eventually. I still have all my gear, so that's still good to go. And I got all my rackets, got my shoes, clothes, things like that. I don't know if I'll be as competitive as I was before, but the good thing is that now instead of that level that I was at, I can get bumped down because I haven't played so long.
Okay.
I can get bumped way down, and I can play a lower level, so I can get right back into it, and hopefully, this. Yeah. I mean, really, right? I mean, we want to get back into it, we can, we try, but it's tough too with kids and everything like that goes on. It's harder to schedule time outside of just the weekend, or even with that. I mean, it's just difficult to schedule time.
Well, you were going to inspire me by doing that because I haven't been on my bicycle since COVID.
Yeah. Okay.
And I keep telling myself I'm going to do it.
Right.
And so I was thinking that if I talked him into going back and playing tennis, he would inspire me to get on my bicycle again.
You got to get back on, man. 20 miles a day.
That would be, to do that. And I don't have the challenge he has right now with two young boys.
Right. You got to get them back.
They can be over there with the kids, and then I can see them and still maybe get on my bike. So I've just got to, figure that out and do it. I think Nike says, "Well, let's do it. Just do it." So, in any case, with that, I mean, some of the things that sort of, I would say, one of the highlights that I did as in sort of the professional field is I had an opportunity to, in the entertainment aspect of it, is write a kids book. Yes, and it was the first time, and the reason I did that is because we created these characters for animation.
Okay.
And we pushed them, and we did all these things. But I asked my son at the time, he was young. I asked him, I said, well, "Do you think I could write a book?" And I had, never really had ventured off into that, but I did this, and I wrote this book, and it was 250 pages, and it's fully illustrated. It was
the illustration.
I did all the illustration, I did all the writing, had it edited, and so on, and so it was published out there, and did the book tour. We sold somewhere in the neighborhood of about 10,000 copies.
Oh, that's amazing.
Yes. And so it was like, at that point, everyone was waiting for the next book.
Yeah.
So that's still somewhere
Is it pending?
in my head. It was called The Fly Kids.
Oh.
And you could almost still see that if you Googled it.
That's
in any case. But
that's an amazing accomplishment, right? Like, think about that. Trading 250 pages, plus also selling 10,000 copies. That's not easy to do.
I was hoping that I would get a chance to really come with the next one.
Yeah.
Because the next one was going to be. Some people thought it was scary.
Really?
no. You know, the
Characters?
spiders and the characters and the aliens
Okay,
and things like that. They thought. I mean, you know. So in that, the second book, I was thinking would have been really scary because I had kind
Oh, I
of.
was gonna say, is it,
Yeah,
you
'cause I
thought you were
read
gonna
it,
say
I
really
read it to our
scary or
kids.
really
I
not
read, I
scary?
read it to our kids
Yeah.
at the time. They were little. I
Okay.
just read an excerpt, and they were like, "Oh my gosh, what happened next?" I remember our daughter
It's like a
saying,
cliffhanger for that
"What's
one.
going to happen next?"
Oh,
And I
that's
thought,
cool.
"Okay, well." So anywhere, it's still somewhere.
It's,
The
it's
angels
back
of my
there. It's
head.
back there. It's
Yes.
back there. You got to get it out. You got to get it out
So
again.
now, what about you? What exciting stuff have you done besides? I know
Hmm.
he's got to tell us about his shoe collection. He's
Oh,
got a
my
giant
Lord.
shoe collection.
I don't have it's not giant
Oh,
or
okay.
it's giant for most people, I would say that
Well,
for
for
sure.
me,
Yeah, okay. But it is very specific. So, you get into, what people are looking for today, and they're looking for shoes that are very, I would say, hype. They call them hype, right? Where
okay.
there's a lot of marketing and branding around it, and there's specific celebrities pushing those products. I like tennis shoes because I like tennis. So the difference is that my collection consists mostly of tennis specific shoes. Yeah. So again, my let's see, my era is Rafael Nadal and Federer, right? I caught most of Pete Sampras when he was there, Michael Chang, Andre Agassi,
Yes,
Jim Courier, right? I know all the young folks listening. They're like, "Who are these people?" Look them
those
up.
guys are good.
They're amazing. Look
Yeah.
them up on YouTube. Watch them. Amazing players. They pioneered a lot for American tennis. So they were amazing players, right? And that's what I gravitate towards. And the shoe collecting side is that's what I have. For instance, I've got like Roger Federer. Every Zoom Vapor shoe that he has worn, I have at least one pair of those, right? And I won't throw them away. They're just sitting in a shoe van or something. I've got my favorite shoes of all time are on my feet right now. Nike Air Oscillates for Pete Sampras and the special. I know you guys can't see it. It's the special. Look these up. 1997 U.S. Open special edition for Pete Sampras. Oh my gosh, am I going to do it? I'm going to do it. So here it is. 97 on the back,
Okay.
elephant print, black and red, like everyone knows. It is 1997 special edition. They only release these in Asia. So I have two pairs of these, and they're never going away. Now, again, they're not worth anything because no one cares, but they're worth a lot to me. So I think that's kind of the difference. I hope, all the people that are into sneakers, I hope that's why they're liking these things is because of the memories it brings and nostalgia and what you remember about it. And not just because they're just some crazy shoe that you couldn't get, but they have meaning.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah.
You know, all these years, I never knew that part
Mm.
of that. I knew you had this shoe collection.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
seen bits and pieces of it, but to hear this firsthand in front of you guys, he's explained to me finally that why that collection and the aspect and the importance of it.
Right. When I was growing up, that's what I saw on TV when I was watching tennis. I saw Pete Sampras in 1997. I saw him wearing these shoes.
So if I ever need a pair of shoes, I could maybe borrow some from you.
You can borrow some that won't crumble though. So these are older. But
Now, some of you guys are probably wondering, how are we related? Okay, so without going to a long story, I want to say that we're related. He is my nephew by marriage.
Yeah, it's my uncle, by the way. Yeah.
And so in that,
Yeah.
he's married to my wife's niece. And in that aspect, we're related in that regard. But
Yeah.
I'd like to say, from my perspective, we're related on the human.
Oh, of course.
You know, that really takes us on a wider span.
Yeah.
And that's kind of why this podcast is focused on our perspective. That's what CaLew perspective.
That's right.
It makes,
That's ours.
you know,
That's our perspective and our journey, what we've gone
Absolutely.
through, and what we've experienced, in our own separate lives, as well as what we've experienced together, being family. So it's a great perspective. It's a little different.
We've done some traveling together and so on, but I know that one of the things that, John, growing up here in this country, I mean, he has several generations already.
Yeah. Yeah. Exactly. So my dad was born here. So I'm third generation.
Okay.
Is what I am. Third generation born American in the U.S. My grandfather was born in New Mexico, and my father was born in El Paso. So 3 generations here on my dad's side. Yeah, which was great is my grandfather was a veteran as well, so he served in the military. Uh, my dad as well served in the military. Almost was deployed into Vietnam. If he was, I probably would be sitting here.
Gosh, okay.
So luckily he didn't have to go. Ended up going to Germany instead. But yeah, my family has had a history here in the U.S. and we've fought and they've served.
So I bet if I was to ask you this question, have you ever been to China?
I have.
Whereabouts?
I have many years ago, early 2000s is when I went to China with my family, my mom, my dad, and my 2 kids. My mom actually was the one that facilitated the trip. She wanted to make sure. So at that time, the Chinese government, they were putting up the Three Gorges Dam, and one of the biggest dams in the world, I believe. Yeah, and she wanted to get to China and visit all of the sites that would have been flooded by the Three Gorges Dam. Because when they would complete it, they would flood, right? So then certain historical buildings and things would be lost under the river now because of that. And we were out there in China for 10 days or so, and we were able to see. We actually went to the Gorges Dam where they were constructing it. I remember it's one of the biggest construction sites I've seen in my life. I mean, it was huge, and then the amount of heavy machinery they had there, turbines, things like that, they were all there. You could see it, and it was dirt, and it was amazing. It was amazing to see. And then when we took a river tour as well and a river cruise, so we were on the river for Yellow River for for 3-4 days. And what they did, is they actually put where the fill line of where the river would be once the gorge was and the dam was operational. I'm telling you, it felt like, I remember I looked up, I'd see pagodas everywhere, places of worship, temples, things like that, and they're like under the line. We're like, oh, those are going to be gone. But that's what that's what my parents wanted us to see. They wanted us to see that before it happened. And so we were there for a few weeks, but I'm not gone back since then. I mean, it's been 20 plus years, and hopefully one day we can get back there.
I'd love to go with you.
Yeah,
of course. That would be something to really take a trip there. I mean, some of our trips, my wife and I have traveled a lot because she's from Sri Lanka.
Yep.
And so we have had the opportunity to go years. I mean,
you've been there many times.
Yes. And that was always sort of an experience, especially the first time I'd gone. It's always been the people there were just amazingly friendly and just a great. I mean, it was astounding. But I think my shock, I say the first time that I traveled out of the country was to South Korea, and it was on a business trip. And when I got there, in the airports here, we didn't see heavy armament in the airport.
Right.
And when I got to Korea, I remember in the airport there were guards that were walking with like machine guns in pairs, and I thought, wow, that's really interesting. But it kind of prepared me for the trip that I first took to Sri Lanka.
Okay.
And Sri Lanka at that time was sort of in the middle of a civil war that was trying to wind itself down.
Okay.
But they had troops every quarter mile or so along the roads. And so they would stop cars randomly and request for the passports. And so, of course, if they saw me in the car, they would beckon for us to come over. And to me, I started thinking about the movies and things that you see here, and you start thinking, I sure hope nothing happens. So it took me a few minutes to really try to wrap my mind around where I am and think, okay, where do you go if you have a problem?
Right.
But after that, everything was smooth sailing. From those years after that, it was kind of interesting.
Yeah. So when you were there with the Civil War winding down, how was it? How was the atmosphere out there? And besides obviously the people carrying guns and the.
It was great. I mean, moving on. I mean, you had to be somewhat careful in what you did. And of course, being an American there, it's sort of like, okay, they wanted to find out. So I kind of figured out a way not to be seen while I was being seen, if that makes sense. Yeah. I'm not going to stare at them. I'm not going to look at them. I won't look at the guards. And when we pass, I will turn my head and look away. And it worked. It worked. And from that point on, I thought, okay, when I see them, I will just turn away, and then they will see that I'm not looking at them, and they just let us go past.
Okay.
And after that, it worked out.
Yeah, I'm glad it worked.
And that was probably the biggest sort of shock in traveling outside. But then after that, I mean, we've gone to Singapore, stopped in. I wanted to actually. I was hoping one time that we were on a trip over that we were going to stop in. I mean, we stopped in Taiwan, but I was hoping Hong Kong. And so I thought, well, if we stayed over, and I could get a chance to touch the ground in Hong Kong, but we didn't.
You didn't stay over.
We didn't get a chance to do that. So that was. So, in any case, that was sort of we did a one trip that we did that actually circumvented the country, the world. Actually, we left out one side. Yeah, we left out going east, and we came back in from the west.
Okay, so where do you stop? If you go from you go LAX.
We left out of LAX to a 16-hour flight straight into Dubai.
Oh, gosh.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we were in Dubai, and then from Dubai straight over to Sri Lanka. And so we stopped. It was like by the time, and of course, this travel was like 24 hours.
Okay.
So I've not gone that far. I thought going to Korea was 16 hours. I thought, oh my gosh, that's a long flight. And so I did that, and then I realized that okay, you got to be in shape to really go on that distance. So yeah, but we did that. We've been doing that for quite a while now. So it's been a while since I've gone there. I'd like to get back and see some of the beautiful beaches.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. What's your favorite spot in Sri Lanka that you've seen so far?
There was one place I could never pronounce the name of, and I won't even try to because I would butcher it. Yeah. And they would laugh at me. But it was up in the high country, and I mean, we stopped along the way. Let me talk about the waterfalls. And then I thought, I'd not seen monkeys outside the zoo, and there were monkeys all over the place. And I think I'm going to catch a monkey and take a look at it. You can't do that. Yeah. But that was, that was fun. Typically, when we would go there, we were visiting families, so it's difficult to really get out and really, So now we want to go back and we want to really experience the places that we had not had an opportunity to do so. So I'm looking forward to doing that.
Good. That's awesome.
Now, with that, I was going to say that John and I have traveled. We've done just locally.
To go out and I think what we did Hawaii together. Hawaii and Zion. We did Vegas.
We did
Vegas.
Vegas. We were going to do New York, but they decided they were going to go to Costa Rica.
Yeah, we went to Costa Rica.
And they tried to talk us into it, and I couldn't bring myself to
get
past the bugs.
One of the safest places in the world.
Besides the bugs.
Safest places in the world. And we had kids on this trip that were not complaining about bugs. Okay? We saw a lot of monkeys, though.
Okay.
We saw
you can catch any.
No. They're like howler monkeys. So they would just be making a big old ruckus. And they sound, they want to make their sound more scary.
Right.
I mean, they probably would kill them.
I've been a little concerned when I heard those do that. I've been hiding behind his kids. I think I'll wait. And then I'll see how it goes for them. And then maybe we'll come back and do it again.
No, Costa Rica was a blast. I think we had a few families that went together, so it was great for the kids because of course they got to interact with our kids, and I've known these people for most of my life now, so they had a great time, and the food was good, the accommodations were great. It was hot, it's tropical, so it's hot, but there's a lot of shade. So remember that if you ever want to go, there's shade for you at the beach or anywhere really.
That's my favorite. But shade on the beach. With a Mai Tai.
I go with the Mai Tai, but man, we need some sun. We need some sun.
Well, I'm already tan, so I don't have to worry so much about the sun. I'll let him tan, sitting outside from underneath the shade. Yeah. I'll stay under the shade, and we'll have Mai Tais together.
We're in Hawaii, right, together, and I was the only one fully dressed in clothes.
I had shorts on.
You might have had shorts on, but I swear you had a long sleeve shirt on. Probably did. And a big old hat, for sure. You had a big old hat and big old sunglasses.
And lay out and do the tourist.
And we were probably sitting at the pool while Harold was under the cabana, laying under the shade.
And what did I have beside me, John?
A drink. Of course you had a drink, so that's okay. But at the beach, though, I don't think I saw Harold get out there once.
One time you saw me, I think, in the water.
Did you put a pinky toe in there? Pretty much.
I put both feet in the water.
Did you fear for your life? Or
no, I just thought that was for I didn't need to surf.
Yeah.
And so I thought I'd leave the rest of it for the surfers. But we got more trips to go. And he just recently got back from New York City.
New York City.
Which we
Yes,
talked him into going
you
to
did.
New York City.
Yes, well, it was a trip we were planning to do in January. We didn't make it for whatever reason, but we were it was great weather at where we just came back a month ago or so, and it was great weather, fall like weather, nice and cool.
Perfect time.
Just the energy there in New York is amazing. There's people walking around all hours of the night, and things are open, and it's such a different energy than LA. I think especially in the suburbs of LA where we're all looking, right? Everything's walking distance. It's like it's urban, right? I mean,
And the vibe.
not the vibe, yeah. There's not that many places like that here. I mean, downtown LA, right? Wherever else. Uh, we used to live in downtown Anaheim, which kind of had that urban vibe.
So did you fully understand, from your perspective, why it's called the concrete jungle?
Yeah, for sure. Concrete, man. I mean, everything is concrete. But it was good. It was fun.
Yeah,
So
we
that
had
was
a
your
good time.
experience there.
Yeah, we went there a couple of years back or so, and we were there. My wife and I, we walked probably a good 12 miles a day. I mean, and you don't realize it. When
Yeah.
you start walking, you're seeing so many different things, and you're on a mission. And to get from this place to this place, it was like you walk, and you didn't think about it until the end of the day when you stopped, and you thought, how far did we walk? And luckily, she had a watch on that kept all that, and we could see, yeah. And so, but we'd like to go back. That's one of the favorite.
That would,
places.
I think.
But this time, maybe we'll go together, because I think we were thinking about it this year, but then we kind of thought, well, we'll put it off and we'll do it next time.
We'll do it another time. I think too, when the kids are a little older.
Yeah, they could push us around when we get tired.
In our wheelchairs and our what else?
Walkers.
Scooters and walkers.
Walkers, yeah.
We can't push them on our walkers, but yeah.
So in any case, but we have a segment that we want to do at each of these podcasts at the very end of it. We want to talk about kindness, something that the world needs a lot.
Yeah, for sure.
Especially with everything going on around the world and so on.
Yep, our moment of kindness, I think is what we're going to call this. And we'll highlight it, right? I think we want to highlight stories that kindness stories, not just that, just feel good stories for people.
Challenge those viewers here to do something kind. Yeah. Small, large, whatever you want to do, but we'd love to hear about it. Because here we're hoping that the inspiration of kindness will become more prevalent in our daily lives and what we're seeing. We see a lot of negative things. It's easy to do negative things. Yeah. Is it just as easy to do something kind?
Think about it. Like holding a door open for somebody.
Letting someone get in front of you when they're moving over in the car. Sometimes we tend to block people out. We see this all the time.
Oh, yeah. It's just the small gestures of kindness. And I think
you have to be elevated by somebody seeing you do that.
Right. No, you don't. Exactly right. I think the coverage of news is always negative and not positive enough for the world. And I think there's a lot of positive things that happen in the world that are just highlighted.
So, John, I want to toast to our first podcast. Here we are.
Cheers to us. Cheers to everyone listening.
And thank you.
Thank you so much.
We'd love to have you back again.
And follow us on our social media accounts there, YouTube.
That's it.
YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, under the CaLew Perspective.
Yes.
That's CALEW Perspective.
We look forward to seeing you again.